Welcome back to the BSN channel. This video I'm gonna call Akokɔ Nan, which means chicken leg. Now this name is an Adinkra symbol, which I'm gonna leave somewhere here. So yeah, it's a Adinkra symbol. And it stands for nurturing and discipline. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is I like to expand on certain words, certain concepts, because each concept relates to another thing on earth. You know, everything that we see here, or ideas that we don't even see or hear, they all have a connection. And the connection is us, our conscious mind, the fact that we can examine things, know them, etc., etc. So the reason why this Adinkra symbol is named chicken leg or Akokɔ Nan, it comes from the saying, the hen treads on her chicks, but she does not kill them, which is a nice image. Meaning that proverb is meant to describe the fact that you don't pamper your children, but you don't be cruel to them. You know? It's like you nurture them, but you discipline them. You correct them. I look at it like building a car. There's certain rules to building a car. So when a car is in the garage, or whatever you call it, you're not going to send a car out there without its body parts intact. You're going to make sure the body parts are there. And to get the body parts in, you've got to bang it in. You've got to apply heat to it. You can't just put a body, you know, you got to apply heat. There has to be a certain mechanism. There has to be work done, energy used to do it. And that's how I was raised. You know, when my mom was shouting at me, that's her putting energy into me. So I don't go out into that world not ready for a crash. I'm ready for a crash. I was built strong. So that's why it stands for nurture and discipline. You nurture your child, but you discipline them. They go hand in hand. You nurture them as in you give them household, you teach them things, you feed them, you clothe them, you show them unconditional love. But within that love comes discipline. You know, I've heard some people say that if you don't discipline your children, you don't love your children. You know? But then again, what if you wasn't taught discipline? Even those who weren't taught discipline, they will find a way of trying to discipline their child, but it might be in a bad way. But every child needs a bit of discipline. Every child has some sort of discipline. It's just how it goes. It's just in my household there was more discipline. A lot of discipline. Like for example, I'd fall down and hurt myself when I was young. My mum would check if I'm okay. She'd be like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Let me check your leg. Let me see. Let me see." When she finds out I'm okay, then she'll smack me. Now, the first time that when I consciously remembered her doing that, it baffled me. I was like, did she just smack me? I just hurt myself, I'm bleeding. And then after, she smacks me for getting myself into that situation. Now when I look back, I'm happy she done that, because now as an adult, I'm very careful when I'm crossing the road, running around. I'm conscious. So if I fall over and hurt myself, I don't feel sorry for myself, because you reap what you sow. You have to know the risks of every process and action. You don't just do a process and not know the pros and cons. So I accepted. My mom made me realize that, there's consequences for every action. Simple as that. That's what that taught me. And you know what? I stopped running around quite a lot. I made sure my mom wasn't around. I've done things differently. You have to do things differently when your mom and dad is disciplining you. Another thing is, I look at discipline like order. Order. Like, for example, look at a child who isn't disciplined. Like a country with no roads, no paved roads, no real, model for economizing the country. A disorganized, anarchy. That's how I look at a child with no discipline. It's anarchy. There's no order. So therefore, there's nothing to really stop the child. Like certain things, like when I was young, I wouldn't do certain things based on the punishments I had at home. So I'll be like, I don't want to do this because I know the consequences of doing this. But some people I was with, they didn't have that discipline at home. So let me go back to my analogy. If you don't have discipline, it's like having a country with no organization. There's no order. Anyone can do what they like. And to be honest, when you can do what you like, you're not going to go as far as someone who's ordered. He's organized. He's planning where he's going. If you raise a child with discipline, but you nurture them at the same time, you can't just be too strict, because that can breed hatred. Like being good and bad exists like what's the word? A duality or dualism, whatever you call it. It's just they exist side by side, and you can't avoid them. They mesh together, and it kind of keeps everything in balance. So that's why when you're disciplining your child, you have to show mercy. Don't do it for the sake of, it makes me feel better. That's cruelty. That's not love. That's not nurturing. That's just abuse. Discipline is done out of love. You don't want to do it, but you have to. My parents used to say to me, I don't want to smack you, but I have to, because I love you. I never understood that. I was like, as a kid, because the world revolves around me, I'm just thinking, you don't love me, you hate me because you wouldn't smack me if you loved me. But I didn't realize that if they didn't smack me, they probably didn't care. It doesn't have to be smack, it can be grounding, but, when I was young, grounding didn't really exist. Why? Because by the time they say you're grounded, you've already been smacked in the bum enough times. You don't care that you've been grounded. You're just happy to not be smacked. I didn't get abused though. It was just really strict. My mum and dad gave me the beatings. Not as much as my little brother didn't get as much as me. But you know what? Every time I thought my mum was being harsh, it was out of love. And the reason why she done it is because I affected her in a bad way. I done something wrong, and out of love, out of care, it affects her. If the police ring my mum's house and say your son's been doing this, my mum will feel hurt, because the way she feels is, I've raised this guy with discipline and love, and this is how he repays me. My mum will look at this situation as a kick in the teeth. You're biting the hand that feeds you. And it goes back to the hen. The hen feeds its chicks. And as a chick, you won't bite the hand that feeds you, because the mum has disciplined you. So I'm going to leave it there. discipline is very important. Can be applied in any part of your life. You can't go through life chasing the wind. What I mean by that is you can't go through life with no goals. There has to be something you live for, and if you're gonna live for it, you have to do it the right way. Like, for example, if you wanted to be a rapper, believe it or not, I used to rap when I was young. I still write lyrics, but that's another story. In order to be good at rapping, do you know how many times you have to rhyme the same words? Do you know how many times you have to just get used to rhyming on the beat, every bar, which is 4 clicks to a metronome? That's a bar. Sometimes you might skip it and then your bar might be every 2 bars. There has to be a sequence with your flow. Or you might have 2 sequences and then go back to the original sequence and then flip with the beat. Then you've got the lyrics, wordplay, similes, metaphors, schemes, concepts, themes, internal rhyming structures. Then you've got multiple rhyming structures where you might have 4 rhyming schemes, but you bring them at certain periods of time. You don't just... It's very close to poetry. I used to take the technical side of it very seriously. That's just 50% of it. Then you've got the performance side. You've got to work on your cadence, how you breathe when you say it. Like, you got to try and say it with your stomach when you're rapping, so people can really feel you. And then it depends how fast the beat is, and then chorus. Like, do you see where I'm coming from? To do anything in life needs discipline. And if you don't teach your child discipline or nurture them, your child is not going to learn to love something and then be disciplined out of love for that thing. It might be a career. It might be his children or her children in the future. If that person is not a disciplined person, wasn't raised with discipline and nurture, how do you expect them to nurture a good career and stay disciplined to it? Some people do. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about humans. Some people weren't raised that way, but they learn to be that way. And they realize, okay, this is the best way to be. I'm going to change my ways. Those are the best type of people. It's annoying when bees just come into your room and stuff. Let me just kill this thing quickly. Yeah, I killed it. So, bottom line is, nurture and discipline is going to order your brain, okay? It's going to make you more organized. It's going to make you more prepared, okay? There can be many analogies for this, but the ones I like to compare it to a country, okay? For a country to be ordered, it needs a central government. It needs a bank. It needs certain institutions to keep things running. People in there to maintain it. A sort of education to keep that system going, so it keeps going. That's why a disciplined and nurturing family goes on for years. That's how cultures carry on. And in the Western world, it's turning into a cultureless society where discipline is not really discipline is only done by the hands of the police, because not everyone is disciplined in the same way. Don't get me wrong, you got some rogue people out there who they might have a strict upbringing with love, nurture, but they still turn out bad. That's the minority. That happens. But if the majority is not disciplined or nurtured, then there's only going to be a minority who's disciplined, and that's just scary. You know? Cultures survive out of humility, discipline, love for their culture and education. It always says, you know, for example, if you're not a disciplined person, you probably won't like correction. And I keep telling people, if you don't like correction, you're foolish. You know, it says that, many proverbs say, he who does not like correction is foolish. I'll give you an example. You want to know how to get to Birmingham. And a guy's saying, yo, you're taking the wrong way, you know. And guys, I don't want to hear it. Like, leave me alone. I didn't ask for your opinion. People like that are foolish. You're not going to get anywhere in life. You're just going to be going the wrong way. You might get to where you want to be, but it'll probably be by accident or after years of failing. But then again, if it's after years of failing, at least you learn something. Failure does teach you a lot. Anyway, I'm going to leave it. I don't want to be too long. So, remember, Akokɔ Nan. Akokɔ is a chicken. Nan is feet. It's interesting. Peace.